Okay, so this is just a continuation of your notes that we started yesterday, 9.3. Go ahead and pull those notes out if you've not already. What I want you to do with this, so it says the 11th term of an arithmetic sequence is 59, and the 14th term is 74. Write an explicit formula for the nth term of a sequence, then find the 30th term. So what I want you to notice, I'm going to flip back to the front side of our explicit formula. Basically, we need to know the first term and the common difference in order to write the explicit formula. So I've given you a visual aid showing you that A11, or the 11th term, is equal to 59, and A14, the 14th term, is equal to 74. I want you to pause the video and think, how can I find the common difference? Basically, I've given you, like I said, a visual of that. And I want you to come up at least with the common difference. Unpause the video when you're ready to check. All right, first thing is first, I got the common difference was 5. Now, hopefully you found 5 or got really close to finding 5, and I'll kind of explain how you could have done this process. There's multiple ways you could find it. With this difference only being a common difference of 3 each time, you could have used some logic skills in order to get to the next step and finding that you had to add 5, add 5, add 5 3 different times. Another way we can do it is notice the difference between 74 and 59 was 15. Then that difference between 3 different times, well, 15 divided by 3 common differences would give me 1 common difference of 5. Which brings me to the best way of finding it. Basically, if you remember that we have here from the beginning example, each of these terms in the sequence graphed out, and we know the common difference is the same as slope. So what I do for these is I go ahead and act like I was graphing these out. Well, the 11th term is 59 would actually be the order pair 1159. And the 14th term being 74 is also my point 1474. And then I calculate slope just like we did on the previous chapters. And I found the change in y over change in x, which is actually what we found here, the difference of 15 over the difference of 3, which gave me a slope of 5, which is the common difference of 5. That is the best, the fastest way to find it, especially if you have points really far away from each other. So we're going to use that method. Now the next thing we need to find is the first term, or a sub 1. We are going to use the explicit formula to find this. So I'm going to go ahead and first write down that a sub n equals a sub 1 plus the common difference times n minus 1. Now the things that we absolutely know from this is we just found the common difference. So I'm going to be placing right here the common difference, replacing that with a 5. So that's one thing I definitely know. The next thing I know, a sub n means any term in the sequence. Well, I know 2 of them. It doesn't matter which one you pick, but I'm going to use the first one given. So I know that a sub 11 is equal to 59. So I'm going to use here a sub 11 for my a sub n. Now I don't know what my first term is, so I'm going to put a sub 1. This is a positive 5. And then once again, my nth term that I was looking for is the n in the equation. So I know the 11th term, so I'm going to put 11 in the equation. My last step is to actually write what a sub 11 is. Well, we know a sub 11 is equal to 59. So my equation now reads 59 equals a1 plus 5 times 11 minus 1. Now I have everything plugged in except a sub 1, and we can solve for it. So I have 59 equals a sub 1 plus 5, and 11 minus 1 equals 10. 59 equals a sub 1, plus 5 times 10, which is 50. And then I just have to solve by subtracting 50 on both sides, which gives me 9 for my a sub 1. Now I'm going to actually place that into my equation by writing a sub n equals for any term in the sequence. I just found a sub 1 equals 9. My common difference is 5 times n minus 1. So this is exactly what we did in notes yesterday. At this point, I had to find a 1, and I had to find the common difference in the beginning. So now I'm going to distribute to simplify 9 plus 5n minus 5, which gives me 5n plus 4. So here is my explicit formula. My last step in the instructions in the problem, it said then find the 30th term. So then I'm going to put a30 equals 5 times 30 plus 4, which gives me a sub 30 equals 154. So those are both parts. All right, on to the next one. It said the third term of an arithmetic sequence is -1, and the seventh term is -3. Find the explicit formula for this sequence. What is a sub 22? If you feel really confident in that last example, or if you just want to go back and rewatch it and try this problem on your own, feel free to pause the video and then watch the explanation. If you're still feeling a little bit shaky on how to do this process, watch the video with me as I solve it, and make sure on your homework that you go through that same exact process to get it on your own. All right, so if you're going to pause the video now. All right, so it tells us that the third term is equal to -1, and the seventh term is equal to -13. Find the explicit formula, and what is a22? So I'm going to write here my third term, so a3 equals -1, and my seventh term, so a7 equals -13. Then I'm going to write them as ordered pairs. 3, -1 for my first ordered pair, and 7, -13 for my second ordered pair. And I'm going to calculate slope by finding the change in y, -13 minus -1, over the change in x, 7 minus 3. So I have -12 divided by 4 to get my slope of -3. So my common difference is -3. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the formula to find my a sub 1. It doesn't matter which point you use, but I'm going to go ahead and use this time the second point. So I'm going to use my a sub n equals a sub 1 plus the common difference times n minus 1. So if I'm going to use my a7, I'm going to say a7 equals a sub 1 minus 3 for my common difference, and these n's need to match up. So if I'm using a7, that means my n is equal to 7. So now I have a7, next thing I'm going to do, not write a7, I'm going to actually replace what the value is for a7 before I get to solving. So a7 is -13, and I can start to solve now for a sub 1. So I have -13 equals a sub 1 minus 3, and 7 minus 1 gives me 6. -13, a sub 1, -3 times +6 gives me a -18. And then I'm going to add 18 to get a1 by itself. So -13, 18 gives me a +5, and that's my value for a1. Now I'm going to plug it into my formula. A sub n equals, and I have found a sub 1 to equal 5. My common difference is -3 times n minus 1. Distributes and gets 5 minus 3n plus 3. So my a sub n equals -3n plus 8. And this is my explicit formula. Now I can find a sub 22. So I'm going to have a sub 22 equals -3 times 22 plus 8. So multiplying that out, I end up getting that a sub 22 equals negative 58. All right, now go on to your homework section, your homework that we had completed last night, and I want you to finish up those problems that you had to do, which were 7, 8, and 13. So make sure you complete now number 7, 8, and 13. Also, make sure all of your homework is completed.